Chapter 1. Stay put in beingness, and all desire to be will melt away. That knowledge, which experienced itself as Krishna, Buddha, or Christ, has subsided and has become one with the whole. So if you abuse Christ, if you abuse Muhammad, if you abuse anyone, he does not come and ask you, "Why are you abusing me?" Because that knowledge, that experience has mixed with the totality. Similarly now, you may be a very great person. You might be a dictator of the world. But when you go to sleep, you forget what you were. Your name, your body, your age, your sex, your nationality, everything. This sense of a separate identity is very limited and not the truth. In fact, it is totally false. So if that is the situation with Christ, what is the case with you? Or you may be a humble, virtuous person. Whenever you go to sleep, you forget sin, virtue. You forget yourself. What is the basic fact? It is that you forgot yourself as an individual, which gives you deep rest. When you go to sleep, you might have had sex with 100 women or 100 men. At that time, you were enjoying it. But when you sleep, when you take rest, that sensory experience is not there. So then you do not have an identity, no weight at that place. Don't say you are so-and-so. You are an individual, you are a man or a woman. Just stay put. From there you can move ahead. That is the truth, that is the fact. From there you can go to reality. And then whatever is manifested will arise and subside. It is like sunrise and sunset, waxing and waning. That desultory manifestation you cannot be. It cannot be the real you. Whenever there is a sense of individuality, personality, or separateness, you have so many wants. You want to see a movie. You want to hear music. You want to play. You want to have sex. You want to eat fancy foods. You want to consume intoxicant. But when that sense of separateness is not there, when you are one with the totality, these things are not desired. And spirituality, or what you call religion, is mainly to understand this, that you don't require anything, that you are a part of the totality, or reality. When you grasp that, you don't have any of these needs. But so long as you are separate from things, you need everything. To exist as a separate individual constitutes the entire problem. And all of these things, the various sense caterings, all reading, search for knowledge, for pleasure, everything is related to that. Once all that subsides, there is no more problem. Then the bliss you experience is true bliss. The foregoing, however, is not a ban on activities. Do whatever you want, but never forget the reality. Never forget what you really are. You are not the body. You are not the food. You are not this vital air, prana. Whatever has appeared is a state, and as such it has to go. Most of you are not going to understand what is being said here, because you are taking yourself to be the body. Whatever knowledge I am conveying is not directed to the body, with you as bodily entities, as different persons. So long as you are firmly convinced that you are the body, whatever I am telling you is not going to be of any use to you, because whatever knowledge we take it as body-mind, since it adds to our existing store of information. We then feel we have become more knowledgeable. For example, tomorrow some astrologer or palmist may want to come and tell me, "I would like to tell your future." How can he tell my future when I am not there at all? You would be happy when told, "Okay, you will be President of the United States." But with me, that is not the case. In various books they have written about God. Has anyone said what God looks like, what he is really like? Has he got a shape, certain qualities. A God with attributes is still time-bound. Once time comes to an end, even his knowledge of being God vanishes. Just like a beggar, dressed as a king, he may feel as a king so long as he wears king's clothes. Once he throws away the clothes, he knows he is a beggar. When we talk about God, we are referring to attributes, loving, omnipresent, omniscient, and so on. Yet all that is still time-bound. Once that experience goes, what is there left? Well, anything that has God attributes cannot be lasting. This is very clear to me. So what then can I ask for myself? Whatever behavior exists in this world, it is because of attributes, tendencies. For example, a person goes through 4 marriages and divorces in a month. Now that behavior stems from tendencies, qualities. But that which witnesses this behavior is beyond attributes. When that witness itself, which is I am, subsides, what remains? With the witness gone, all other things have disappeared too. By the same token, upon the arising of the I am, the whole of manifestation takes place. These two are not separate. They are one. I am is the witness. The entire manifest world is there because of this. That which is doing all this are the tendencies or attributes or Maya, just like the sun and its rays. If the sun is not there, the rays are absent. Similarly, if the witness is not there, the manifestation or Maya is not present. When I am arises, everything appears. When I am subsides, everything subsides. Now this is what I am trying to tell you, but you want something else. You want something about your future, something which is part of manifestation. But I am trying to hit at it. You have been seeing me right from 5:30 in the morning, working, talking, and doing all that. But nowhere am I aware of myself as a yoni, as something different. On the other hand, I have not forgotten the child of many years ago. Now, 82 years back, I had the childish knowledge, the incomplete knowledge which was born from the ignorance that I was born. Until the age of 3, I did not know anything. After that age, I was struck by my mother with what is a word. You know, concepts. And out of these concepts, everything else came. Now this Maya is that which started 82 years ago. It is singing. Maya comes up, subsides again. It goes in cycles, waxing and waning. Now, after some time, this childish knowledge, incomplete knowledge, whose base is ignorance, that experience, which started 82 years ago, let us not call it an identity, will also pass away, wither away. This I am is an announcement. It is not real. It has come out of something else. What the real is, I am not telling you, because words negate that. Whatever I am telling you is not the truth, because it has come out of that I am. The fact is, I cannot describe reality to you. I cannot. I cannot explain it because it is beyond expression. So from that, everything flows. But every time I say something, I am aware that it is to be negated. Not this, not that, nutty. That is my experience. And further, I have not seen God, have not seen anything else. But about my own experience, I am very sure. And that is what I am telling you about. I am not quoting anyone. Because that food body is there and that slice of bread, the I amness appears. Since this is dependent on the body, it is ignorance. Therefore, this I amness knowledge cannot remain permanently. It is a function of this food body. So long as the food body is present, this I amness will remain. Thereafter it will go. As was said before, the same child knowledge, that I amness, still persists. the I amness view appeared in the child body, as it is here today. But because of Maya, continuous changes take place. The situation has changed, but I amness still continues. For how long? For so long as the food body is viable. When the food body is dropped by the vital breath, the I amness will set. So I amness is not permanent either. The consciousness is not permanent. Our Prime Minister has some firm ideas about himself and whatever concepts he entertains. He does not want to change them, ideas of God, etc. We human beings have so many pet notions, preconceived ideas. Whenever we listen to somebody whose ideas tallies with ours, we agree. Otherwise we reject. Similarly, those yanis who state they are established in the Absolute are actually in beingness. They are known as sages. They like certain ideas, certain concepts, and they want to propagate those. But they propagate only idea, and an idea is not the truth. Truth is the state beyond concepts. You take the seed of the banyan tree. It is very small, smaller than the mustard seed. The seed is very subtle, but all the gross matter is already inside it. Do you see the paradox? Similarly, your essential being is the subtlest, yet it contains the whole universe. Another point is, what do you mean by seed? Biya means second creation, and thus signifies that the past is being repeated. It was a tree. The tree got concentrated in the seed, and the seed recreates the past history it contains. Visitor, the I am is in the seed. At this point, when one is aware of the I am, the seed, to become the Absolute, you are itself the seed. You are I amness. You don't grossify it even by words. The inner core, the self, what is inside. All this is inside that seed. Maharaj also said that the inner core is light. No, light here is meant only symbolically. It is not light, like this, self-luminous. Everything is truth, the Absolute. This Brahman is created out of your beingness. All this Brahman is illusion, born out of ignorance. For your beingness, from the Absolute standpoint, is ignorance only. Again, out of ignorance, this beingness develops everything, the entire manifestation. On the Absolute, beingness appears, and out of that comes illusion. And illusion occupies the truth. So what is the way of reversing this process? Recede. Recede. The lion, wherever he goes, looks back. Like that, look back, go to the source, the seed. When you pursue the spiritual path, the path of self-knowing, all your desires, all your attachments will just drop away, provided you investigate and hold on to that with which you are trying to understand the self. Then what happens? Your I amness is the state to be. You are to be, and attached to that state. You love to be. Now, as I said, in this inquiry, your desires drop off. And what is the primary desire? To be. When you stay put in that beingness for some time, that desire also will drop off. This is very important. When this is dropped off, you are in the Absolute, a most essential state. That is the exact feeling that came over us today. There is a certain sadness in realizing that, and yet greater understanding of the Absolute. Sadness because that I amness was sad. You know that there is being, and you are going towards non-being, and there are all the things of being, and you know that they are really nothing. But it was fun. It was a great illusion while it lasted. Your true state, stay put in that. It is ever there, in its pure state undisturbed. Only that consciousness, I amness, is consciously receding from the Absolute. That you are present only. There is not the slightest movement from you. It is winding up the show. Would you say that a little more clearly? Yes, when you are in consciousness, you understand the nature of consciousness and you recede. Your progress continues. This consciousness is slowly extinguishing itself. Knowingly it is disappearing, but nothing affects you, because that is the absolute. Just like when the flame is gone, the smoke is gone, the sky remains. Beautifully said. That is the Brahman of death, the moment of death. Watching occurs, the vital breath is leaving the body, I amness is receding, vanishing. That is the greatest moment, the moment of immortality. The body, the flame, that I amness is there, its movements are there, and I observe. And it is extinguished. The vital breath deserts the body, that flame is not there. You observe that. That observation occurs to you. The ignorant one at the moment of death is in great fright. He is struggling, but not the ani. For him, it is the happiest moment, the most blissful one. But the fact is that you are going all over the place, to saints and ashrams and all that, collecting knowledge in your capacity of being an individual. Don't do that. Go beyond. This amassing of knowledge is not going to help you because it is in a dream. This dream will repeat itself as a human body, as so many other bodies, as an animal, or as a god, anything. This is not the point. Try to understand what is being said here. That is the only solution, and will lead you somewhere. What is the relationship between me and you? I don't care whether or not you come here and listen. If you find it, you take it. If you don't want it, go away. The space in this room is neither against nor for, nor in love with the space in that room. It is one. Similarly, I am not bothered. The knowledge I am giving out is like a stream, like a flowing river. If you want to utilize it, take the water, drink it, assimilate it, let it flow by itself. I am not charging you anything. You are spending a lot of money every day. Come on, you keep the money and take my water. Similarly, while talking about it, I take you to the source of the spring. There, water is coming out in a trickle now. This trickle subsequently becomes a river, an estuary, and finally the sea. I take you to the source again and again. Once you arrive at the source, you come to know that actually there is no water. The water is purely the taste, the news that I am. This body-mind is created out of mischief. So whenever I say, don't ask from the body-mind consciousness and you comply with that, it means you are out of mischief. You will not ask any more mischievous questions. After listening to these words and understanding their meaning, stay convinced that you are that. You are the totality. Then, out of that, tremendous blessings will come your way. You become a Mahayu, that is, you merge into yourself, union with yourself. There is only one principle. The principle is that you are. Because you are, everything is. Hold it firmly to yourself. What is your aim? Do you really want what I am talking about? You have heard what has been said. Now live accordingly and remain with it. You are indulging in worldly activity continually. Now, before you go to sleep, forget about all that and start reflecting on reality, because we can all break away from society. And the next thing is, don't run from door to door. I am of the opinion that most of you are doing that, just amassing knowledge. There is no point in that. Take one sentence of what has been said here and stay with it. That is enough. That will lead you to your source. My word is knowledge, if planted in you, will remove all other words, all concepts. So for this purpose I will tell you a story. One person takes another person to a hotel, makes him eat something. Afterwards he tells him, in 6 months you are going to die because I have put some poison in the food. So that fellow gets frightened. He leaves him and meets another friend of his and tells him what has just happened. This man says, don't worry. You see this glass? It is filled with urine. Come on, you drink this. If you do, you will survive. There will be no death for you. So that man drinks it. What happens? He didn't die. So with the first concept, I am duly poisoned. He is full of fright and convinced he is going to die after 6 months. Later, this second man gives him another concept that he is not going to die, and he survives. He goes beyond death. One of the attributes of life, of the vital air, is getting concepts, ideas, creation over and over again. Who understands this? A person who has searched for himself. Only when you do that, you become aware of all this. The source of all happiness is your beingness. Establish yourself there. Be there. But if you get yourself involved in the flow, then you will come to misery. You understand what is the flow? All that Maya, the activities. You try to derive pleasure from the activities. This is a product of the illness. Whatever I have told you, reminisce on it, chew it, be still, because it would lead you to stillness that way. It will be clear to you that just as with the 5 fingers of the hand, this body of yours is made of 5 elements. Because of the 5 elements, the body is there. Your beingness, this consciousness, is the essence of what is to appear as the result of the vital breath, which is circulating in the body. And when that consciousness disappears, or the vital breath deserts the body, everything disappears. This should be very clear to you, just as this spark comes about because of this chemical ingredient of the cigarette lighter. Everything is present only because this food is there. So you understand that your I amness or consciousness is there because of this food body, and because the vital breath is there. And you will be able to watch all these elements, your body, the vital force, and your beingness. When you are in a position to watch all that, you get established in reality. One can get rid of habits only with considerable difficulty. Once the habits are formed, it takes quite some time to get out of them. Similarly, although you have got this knowledge now, what it gives you, you don't know yet, because you have been associated with the body-mind for such a long period. To get rid of that will take some time. But for you to become established in the knowledge, reflecting and meditating on it is very essential. For that, it is necessary to quit one habit you are normally given to and substitute another habit. Now, what is this substitute habit? It is to think constantly that you are not the body. For example, if you observe yourself in a quarrel with somebody, observe and understand clearly that there is a quarrel started by your mind, but you are only its witness. If you don't participate, whether there is a quarrel or not is no longer a concern. All the worldly activities happen through your mind. If you think, I am the body-mind, then you are doomed. When you are absolutely one with Brahman, you don't resort to mind. There is no sound, or you cannot talk. You stay put or keep quiet. To talk, you have to take advantage of this instrument, the mind. So you need to get a little detached from Brahman. Then only the talk can come out. Sprung from the 5 elements is sheer ignorance. The knowledge I am is the same in all sentient creatures, whether it be an insect, a worm, or a human being, or even an avatar, the highest kind of being. I do not consider this basic consciousness in one form as being different in any way from the consciousness in another form. But in order to manifest itself, consciousness needs a base, a particular construct in which it can appear. That base can be anything. It can be any form, but the manifestation can only last so long as that particular form endures. And until that consciousness appears, there cannot be knowledge of any kind. In sum, knowledge depends on consciousness, and consciousness needs a physical matrix or form. One must also consider the importance of the word. The thought arises from the vital breath and expresses itself in the word. Without words, there could not be any communication in the world. In fact, there could not have been any activity, any busyness, or business, for that matter, at all. The world goes on because of the word and the name. People could not have been identified without name. So the word and the name have great importance. The principle of naming every possible thing has been carried forward to the extent that even God had to be given a name, and that name, when repeated, has a certain significance. At an early stage of one's spiritual development, there is no method, no sadhana, more important or effective than repeating the name of God. Now there exists no particular reason for the coming about of this consciousness, so there is no explanation for how this seed, this consciousness or knowledge I am, has arisen. But once it is in existence, it cannot stand still. That is, consciousness is tantamount to movement, and all movement takes place through the gunas, which are inherent in the knowledge I am. This consciousness keeps on humming, and expresses itself through the three gunas. These gunas act according to the form which has come about, and that form has resulted from a particular food. Behavior and action result from the combinations and permutations of the three gunas. When people first come here, I always tell them that they come with the purpose of showing off their knowledge or trying to draw me into an argument. So I am aware of that, but I am even more strongly aware of the fact that such people have not got the slightest idea what they are talking about. I call it pure ignorance. It is for this reason that I say, don't ask any questions. Don't even start discussing until you have listened to the talk for a while and absorbed at least some of its contents. Then you can begin asking questions. How do I know that you are completely ignorant? From my own experience. Any infant will take at least a year and a quarter, or a year and a half before he can even utter a word. That word may not have any meaning, but to do so, what has happened? Again, I am using the word gungun, that which is going on internally wanting to come out. Thoughts, odd words, whatever it may be, and it does come out. Now, where did all that originate? Where is the presenter of the speech? Speech is only in animals, which includes humans. Now that is still part of the knowledge I am, which is within them. This gungun is within the knowledge I am, which includes the physical form. The gungun entity and the knowledge I am and the physical form, that whole bundle has been created out of the 5 elements. So up to this point, the whole thing can be said to be entirely mechanistic and therefore pure ignorance. Now there are some people who say, I was so-and-so and so-and-so in a previous existence. How do they know? They could only have sprung from the 5 elements, and before the 5 elements were created, the previous knowledge could not have been there. Therefore it is utter nonsense, rubbish. There are many hatha yogis who have great powers. Of those, I am the greatest. But I distinguish between hatha yoga and hatha. Hatha means insistence or persistence. You see, I persist. And what is this persistence about? I did not know that I was going to be born. How did I get this birth? That is the point on which I persist in finding the answer. I must know this. When I was told sattva, then what is sattva? Sattva is the essence of the 5 elements. In that essence, in that juice, lies the knowledge I am. But all that is still of the 5 elements. Then how did this come about? My guru told me the whole story. Thus I came to know that it is ignorance, and I know from experience that everybody is starting from there. Thus, whatever has come about is sheer ignorance, and we are nothing more. That is what my guru told me. My guru further pointed out to me the fact that the only thing you have in which you can utilize to unravel the mystery of life is this knowledge, I am. Without that there is absolutely nothing. So I got hold of it, as my guru advised, and then I wanted to find out how the spiritual aspect of me came about without my knowledge. That again is the result of the 5 elements. Therefore, I repeat, I know from personal experience that if anybody thinks he has or is something special, it is sheer ignorance. Even if this body were to last for 1,000 years, any experience with it that has come about during that period is necessarily based on this I amness, which is based on time, which is a product of the 5 elements for which I have no use at all. On my pure absoluteness, which has no place and no shape or form, this knowledge, I am, came, which also has no shape or form. Therefore it appears, and it is only an illusion. Intelligent people, extremely intelligent people, come here and ask me questions, and I answer them. So what happens? They don't accept my replies. Why? Because they ask me from the point of view of identification with the body-mind. And I answer them from a point of view which is without such identification. So how can they understand me? How can the answers possibly tally with the questions? Who are asking the questions? It is the persons who see themselves as existing in time, with the birth of the physical body as their base point. Therefore, they ask questions from that point of view. But that view is false. It is a figment of their imagination, purely a bundle of memories, habits, and imagination. They consider that as the truth, yet it is sheer ignorance, having no basis in reality at all. The date to which you are attaching so much importance met you when the body was born, and from that day onward you have been considering yourself as that body. What was there before the body came into being? Only that may remain after the disappearance of the body and the elements. And before that body is gone, on that final day, even the memory of existence during the prior period will disappear. So whatever happens between appearance and disappearance of the body is only a bundle of memories. Whatever you have accumulated is merely entertainment. All that is in memory and everything else will disappear. Now, if you had really accepted this through proper understanding, you would not care whether this body remains or goes. When the highest principle, this beingness in the body disappears, how can you talk? When that primary principle has gone, is there any value left? First, the beingness is to disappear. Then also the body will disappear. But the beingness will never know that the body is disappearing, because the beingness itself will already have left. When a child is born, after a year or two, he is able to talk. From where has this capacity developed? From the food essence of the body only, is it not? Internally, he developed this power of speech. The Maharaj has over 8,000 disciples, but does he speak of this knowledge? They depend on this beingness as the truth. They take it as the reality, and all deference is being directed toward that beingness. All spiritual activities are based on the feeling that this beingness is the truth. But is it not also the product of the food essence? And therefore does it eventually not become decrepit with the food essence? Don't you understand your knowingness naturally, effortlessly? Once you understand spontaneously, you will realize that it is also a temporary phase. This beingness is going to disappear. And in understanding this, you will come to the conclusion that it is unreal. And the one who understands its unreality is the eternal. Now, continuing to explore this vein, can you hold on to some identity that is exclusively yours, that will not disappear? Without the help of some food essence, can anybody talk? And can anybody incarnate himself without the help of a body? Now, I have been invited to go by car to talk to the people of a village. Will anybody be able to understand this kind of talk, what I am driving at? The problem is, after such a talk, might the people not obtain my address and come to get me? No, the locals may not. They are not such type of people. But the foreigners may try to attack me because I am criticizing Christ. I have indicated knowing the true position of Christ because he talks about the same thing. What was done to Christ might happen to me also, because Christ started telling the facts, the truth, and people got enraged and crucified him. They dared to shed his blood. Since my talk will be beyond the scope of this understanding, some of the audience may become very upset and disturbed. They will say, "It's no use, we must finish him off." It is because of the command of my guru that I am doing this, participating in all these talks. When I go to that village, I will have to discourse about God and purity. I must take the devotional approach. But if I gave the kind of talk that I am giving here, they would not be able to understand it. I should talk on their level of understanding, God, purity, and devotion. Chapter 3. The Ultimate Medicine. When the 5 pranas, pancha pranas, become purified, concomitantly the sense organs become purified and the mind also becomes pure. And when the mind is pure, the language of the sages becomes intelligible. Without such purification, it is not possible to understand the sages, and ultimately that purification leads to self-knowledge, to the self. Does this purification arise as a consequence of applying oneself to meditation on the sense of I am? And is that one's central responsibility? I am referring to what we call the sattva, signifying the essence of the food that you consume. This body is nothing but food for the consciousness. Now the quality of this sattva is the beingness or the knowledge that you are, the I, consciousness. And ultimately you should know this sattva, what it is. But for the moment I will tell you this is the essence of all the food. Your question was whether through meditation this purification takes place. Yes. And how this happens is that by meditation, the sattva quality gets predominant, the mind gets purified, and the knowledge of the self is made possible. Just as the quality of sugar is sweetness, so the quality of this sattva, the essence of food, is this knowledge, this I, consciousness, or as we also call it, beingness. Just as the sweetness of, how can that be the quality of food? I am just not clear on what you are trying to say. Food can either be very tamasic or rajasic. It depends on the food chosen. Are you talking about food in terms of whatever thoughts, instructions we ingest, or just simply the gross elements we take in? Ultimately, the food has taken this form, which is the body. Now, in this body, which is nothing but food, an entity called sattva is present. There is some connection between this sattva and the food. It is not simply that the food is this sattva. The latter is somehow a subtle product, some essence of the food. Is that clear? It's becoming clearer. Then there is also something called the mula sattva, the origin of sattva, original essence. Its quality is that you come to know that you are. So in your body that primordial sattva or mula sattva is present, because of which you have the knowledge that you exist. Another thing concerns so-called sickness. If anything goes wrong with the sattva or the material of the body, there is some disorder which is termed sickness. How do the doctors rectify that? By giving you medicine. The medicine is also a kind of sattva, so that medicine rectifies this disorder and then the sickness is cured. Sometimes, actually, this beingness or knowingness itself is the misery prior to the appearance of the beingness. You did not have any problems. They started only after its appearance. To repeat, with the form, the beingness appeared, the knowledge that you exist, and along with that came all the problems. So this knowingness or beingness is nothing but misery. Any comment on this? Do you agree? I agree with that, yes. Sometimes I feel that illness arises as a lawful consequence of what people do. At other times it just seems to be something built into the body that we do not understand, and it just arises. It has a force all of its own. and either it will be dissipated when something counters, again, this beingness, the knowledge, I am, which I call uprado, is a source of trouble. As I said in the morning, as the result of happiness, this source of misery has also begun. In this upadro, in this primary essence, lies the knowledge, I am. You know that you are. I have no argument with this. You see, the quintessence of this body essence is ultimately the knowledge, I am, that is sustained by this food essence body. Do you follow? I follow it. Now, this quintessence, that is the knowledge I am, in the period of a day, there will be moments when miseries are experienced by it, because it is in its very nature to experience those. Thus, with the appearance or happening of this I amness, miseries are bound to follow, a natural corollary. They usually outweigh the pleasures. This beingness has two aspects, deep sleep and the waking state. I amness means that the waking state is there or the deep sleep state is there. So, how do you mean I amness signifies the deep sleep or waking state? I don't understand that. You know in the waking state that you are. In the waking state, yes, I know that I am. When you go to sleep, you do not know that you are. Isn't that so? That's true. So that means these two aspects of I amness are always there. In deep sleep, I amness is forgotten. And because it is forgotten, you are completely relaxed and at peace with yourself. During the waking state, to know that you are is itself a misery. But since you are preoccupied with so many other things, you are able to sustain that waking state. This quality of beingness, the knowledge I am, cannot tolerate itself. It cannot stand itself, alone just knowing itself. Therefore that Rajoguna is there. It takes the beingness for a ride in various activities, so that it does not dwell only in itself. It is very difficult to sustain that state. And Tamoguna is the basis quality. What it is doing is that it provides one with the facility to claim authorship of all the activities. The feeling, I am the doer. Rajoguna takes one into all the activities, and Tamoguna claims authorship or doership for those activities. But understand fully that whatever is happening takes place because of these three qualities. Sattvaguna, Rajoguna, and Tamoguna. They are not your doings. You are completely apart from that. I stress that time and again. This is the play happening in these three gunas. Again, understand you are experiencing this sattva guna, the knowledge I am. This I amness is experienced by you, the Absolute. But you are not the I amness. What have you to say on this? What could I say? I don't have any comment. What I am expounding here is not normally expounded anywhere. I know, that is why I am here. Having understood, realized, and transcended all these three gunas, I know full well their play. That is why I talk like this. I have understood, I have realized, I have transcended them. A number of sages, having done all the expounding, will only take you into sadhana, the disciplines that are to be followed. But this is a subject prior to discipline, subtler than any discipline, a most subtle one. And yet at the same time, the activity that he enjoins us to undertake purifies the play of those gunas in the sense that they don't keep drawing our attention back into the world. Because unless there is some responsibility on our part, which Maharaj insists upon as much as anyone else, the play of these three gunas will be just random, and you will be like a ball kicked around by a bunch of dolphins. By following what was said, it will be realized that whatever is happening only in the realm of these gunas. And in this process, it is realized one is not part of their play at all. Becoming more and more detached from all worldly activities, one transcends the gunas and knows one does not dwell in their realm. When you are involved with the gunas, you want to have so many things from the world, But when you thoroughly understand that you are not these gunas, then you want or expect nothing. Is sadhana necessary? Sadhana, the discipline, is only this. The knowledge which is dwelling in this body, the quintessence of these three gunas, the knowledge I am that. This is the initial step. You must be one with it. You must abide in that only. You have to think I am not the body, but I am that formless, nameless knowledge indwelling in this body. That is I am. When you abide sufficiently long in this state, whatever doubts you may have, that knowledge, I am itself, will sprout out with life and meaning for you, intended for you only, and everything will become clear. No external knowledge will be necessary. Is any technique required for the sadhana? Only conviction. And if you are thinking of any initiation, only the words of the guru that you are not the body. That is the initiation. Stay put there, in that state. It is spontaneous, natural. That shraddha, faith. What is that faith? I am. Without the words, whatever you are, that itself is the faith. Now you have to elevate yourself to the state of Brahman. That I am itself is Brahman. This is the condition you have to develop. For that, is it necessary to sit in seclusion for a certain period of time? Until you abide in that firm conviction, probably you will have to go into seclusion. But once you abide and stay put firmly there, you know you are that only. Then, even if you are in a crowd, you will not have a fall from that. At the moment when you are realized, you are that. Other times you are only contemplating that you are that. You are trying to believe that you are that, but the moment the conviction comes, is that the realization? Yes, that is the moment to know. So when you are realized, what are the signs of realization? No symbols are available, because only you shall prevail at that moment. But will one see anything specific? You know, surprisingly, there may be so many things you see. You might see lights. All this illumination is due to what? To Atma Yoti, the light of the self, self-illumination. I have read in several books that simultaneously with the realization there is an awakening of the Kundalini. Is this a fact? What you are saying about Kundalini happens to him. I am not dealing with that. Happens to whom? To the one who is expounding that idea. I don't deal with those concepts. That is Muktananda's sphere. And several other people say the same. My approach is different. I don't expound that. Is the result not the same? Whoever attained realization, we are merely told about it. But there is no actual proof. We are told by the realized yogis that whenever they got realization, supernatural powers were acquired. Strange lights appeared to them. They went into a different sphere. Something terrific happens to them at the time of realization. You might also have visions of various gods. Anything might happen, but that does not mean that you should dwell on those concepts. Yes, but can those things happen? Yes, but in the process of trying to experience and observe all these things, it is easy to forget the way towards self-realization. Those people are studying, as it were, on the TV screen. That means they still want to be in an experiential state. They do not transcend that. What Maharaj is expounding, speaking the language of the Gita, is it Jnana Marg? No, not the Jnana path. Abidance in knowledge is different. Jnana Marg means you are walking a path. Your destination is the knowledge I am. Abidance in that knowledge. That is, according to the Gita, Jnana. Marg means you are always trying to walk. I do not want to do any walking. When you talk about path, you think the destination is far off and you have to walk there. The point is that you are right at the destination. So where's the necessity of any path? Is it easily attainable? Spontaneously, it is the natural state, the destination. Unfortunately, you are connected with various types of concepts and you are bogged down in the quagmire of those concepts. As it is, you is most spontaneous and natural. Again, I will put it another way. In the Gita, I do not want you to seek support in anything external. There are only two entities, you and me. don't introduce a third person or a third support. The dialogue is strictly between us. What difference is there between you, Maharaj, and Lord Krishna? I don't know what you mean by difference, for that term does not occur in my vocabulary. So if I quote Lord Krishna of the Gita for my own satisfaction, is it? If you don't enlighten me, who else will? The knowledge you are is Lord Krishna. Okay, so my knowledge, that is Krishna. My knowledge is that devotion is the easiest way, and either Rama, Krishna, or anybody, even Guru. You concentrate on that. Don't even think that I am who I am, this and that. It is better to be an ant than sugar, and with devotion you take his name, the Lord's name, or the Guru's name, and you get the realization. You even get the jnana, by only bhakti, blind bhakti. Without even thinking who you are, what you are, that knowledge itself, I am that, will dawn. With conviction, realization will occur. If you have gone through all that, why did you come here? Having done all these things, the devotional path, the knowledge must have dawned on you. Again, one must ask, why did you come? No, the knowledge is not dawned. I feel incomplete. I was not crowing about devotion. I was wanting, so there is no question of knowledge dawning in you because you are that knowledge. It is already there. That is the only condition. By blind devotion? Why do you want blind devotion when you are already that? Because it is easiest for 99% of the people. I can believe you more easily than I can believe that I am God. I can believe that you are God. You are more godly. You are God. You are Shaktiman. I can't believe that I am Shaktiman. You will never be alerted to that higher state if you do not believe that you are God. That is Advaita, devotion. There is no difference between God and yourself. You are God only. Only I prevail. Yes, I know, but they say even Dvaita, both will lead you to the ultimate. A lot of people may say a lot of things, but what I am telling you is this. See that you are, and know that you are. Just be that. Is Dvaita incorrect? Can it lead to the same? There is no question of duality because nothing exists except me. Only I exist. I deal only with that highest, whatever it is. In the lower, everything is true on that level. But I don't deal with that stuff at all. I don't expound the initial stages. That time is over for myself. If anybody places full reliance on my words that you are the Brahman, you are everything, that itself will transform you. Whatever I am is the result of my prarabdha. What is that prarabdha, that destiny you are talking about? I know of no prarabdha, no destiny. In the initial stages in the kindergarten thinking of spirituality, I used to say that to one who is receiving primary initiation into spirituality. For him these lessons are good enough, but not for my sadhana. For an advanced course in spirituality, I will not explain this. These concepts are rejected. If you don't like my teachings, whatever I say, you may blame me and are free to leave here. Can a man shape his destiny? I have said already, I don't believe in destiny. If you have been on the path of devotion, where is the necessity of destiny at all? With devotion, individuality has transformed itself into Brahman, the manifested. So how is the destiny needed for that? That Brahman state, the manifest Brahman, is not subject to any destiny. Is there any question of something good or bad happening to that Brahman state? He who is not one with the Brahman and still thinks he is an individual will always be thinking that something good or bad is going to happen to him as an entity conditioned by body-mind. What have you got to say? Your comments, sir. One of the things that I feel very strongly is happening in the West through the Eastern teachings from such representatives as Maharaj and Ramana Maharshi is that people are so aggressive in attaining things. And when they get bored with attaining material benefits and sexual satisfactions and all the transitory pleasures of drugs, they turn to the spiritual life. But their view of spirituality is still conditioned by the same motive for attainment. You have to understand, in the West, people go towards spirituality because they are getting bored with this objective worldly life. So one must understand what is the cause of the misery. That source you must find out. Is it not necessary? I believe it absolutely is. That's why Maharaj's teachings are so important, because it stands quite apart from the usual teachings. Second visitor. Well, I think that what my newfound friend here is still trying to understand is the same basic confusion that we're having much more recently in the West, in that people associate realization with attainments relative to this whole chakra system. And it is not that at all. You know, when Ramana Maharshi was asked about this, he would say the only center that interested him was the heart. Anybody coming here will be liquidated. He is not going to get anything. When you reach that state, the highest state, then only will you be realized, whether you are going to attain or discard. I assure you that you will attain nothing, and you will realize that no attainment is required. Abide in the words I have spoken earlier. First do your homework, then ask questions. I would like to know from you what medicine is there which will help you to know that you are, and put to use that knowledge you are. Maharaj's instruction, that is the only medicine I know. Continue to come here if you want to investigate what you are. Track down what that you are is. Investigate that medicine you are. And don't expose all and sundry to what I have told you. Keep it to yourself. Interpreter. To many he will say, don't ask anything, but listen. By merely listening, they understand. Most of their doubts will be cleared. To that lady in the morning, he said, just listen. Don't ask any questions. That can be very effective, too. In the flow of the talk, many doubts will be cleared. He is sure of that. Why is there such a divergence between different gurus, rishis, and realized yogis? Perhaps they are not realized. No, this is to be explained as follows. Although consciousness is universal in the knowledge you are, and whatever knowledge there is all common, its expression through the body and the mind is individualistic. There, everything is different. Therefore, the path expounded by each sage will be different. It is bound to be so. All those several paths they will lead to the same. Is it not that all paths lead to Delhi? The paths will be different, but the destination is the same. So you can't compare the path or what I am expounding with somebody else's. In your method, may I call it method? Have you noticed any siddhis? No, but that is my own doing because of the commands of my guru. My guru told me, although you are realized, you will have to expound knowledge only. No siddhi powers for you. I was very eager. I thought, I'll get certain powers, do miracles, remove the sickness of people. At first I was thinking along those lines as an initiate. But my guru told me, nothing of the sort for you. You have to expound knowledge only. There were to be no powers from me. And then he also told me, you must repeat all these bhajans 3 or 4 times a day. You have to do it. He said, for the sake of all the ignorant people, we have to do this. I do not want to take you by the traditional, conventional, tortuous ways. That is why my teachings are better liked by the foreigners, because none of this traditional, conventional thing is there. The worshipping, the rituals, nothing is there. That is the devotional path. But what I am giving you is Atma Yoga. I am not doing Bhakti Yoga. That is bhajans, etc. It is happening, going on by itself. Bhakti Yoga means a devotee trying to link up with God. It is not only going on here, it is going on everywhere right from the ants. This means that everybody has that bhakti. Even an ant wants to live, which is the same as bhakti. But that ant does not know it, only a human form. My question is, even a Yani's bhajans are devoted to some god, say Krishna, which takes for granted saguna bhakti. To the interpreter, are you convinced by the answer? Then in turn you can convince me. Interpreter, what has happened is this. As a Yani he would have remained unknown to the world. That is what his guru thought. So he told him, when Maharaj asked how he could repay this debt after he got realization, you cannot repay this anyway. But if at all you want to repay, you must do bhajans 4 times a day. Now the purpose of his guru's command was that when some bhajan goes on somewhere, people were alerted to the fact that this is a place where worship of God is taking place. So that is how people started coming here. Initially, they were mainly Indian people who were not primarily interested in knowing themselves, but who had faith in God. Those people came first, and subsequently others started flowing in, like Maurice Friedman, and thereafter the book, I Am That, was published. Ultimately, you came to know of these teachings because of him. So the purpose of this bhajan was indirectly to let people know about him. Otherwise, he would have remained absolutely unknown. It may be correct, but there must be some more to it. Interpreter, because of this bhajan, people get elevated, don't they? Normally we practice whatever he tells you right at the moment. He wanted to elaborate a little on this point. Presently, when people are putting the same question again and again, he will not reply at all. He was trying to say bhajan is going on right from the level of ants up to ours. Eventually, when you get true knowledge, ultimate knowledge, then only will you come to understand that bhakti and jnana yoga are one. And one can get that ultimate knowledge either way? Yes. The questioner is giving details about a recent visitor to Maharaj, a prominent homeopathic physician from America, who has been asked to utilize his expertise in trying to alleviate Maharaj's illness. Since I am abiding in the state which is prior to the gunas, the disease has had no effect on me during the past 3 months. I am not taking on any fear of that disease. I avoided these 3 gunas forever. And whatever is happening in the realm of these gunas only. The gunas are doing all this. I am the knower of the gunas and their realm, but I am not the gunas. Now this disease which is said to be here, on what is that disease? Certainly not on me. That disease has occurred on that which the name birth has been attached. Therefore, that which is born is suffering from the disease, is not me. Then the next point. What exactly is born? What is born are the 3 states, the waking state, the sleeping state, and the knowledge I am, this consciousness. The body and the vital breath would not be able to function if this consciousness were not present. So these are the 3 states which have been born. And these 3 states work through the 3 attributes, gunas. So these 3 states and the consequent 3 attributes, that bundle has been born, and whatever happens, happens to that bundle only. I am not concerned with any of that. I very clearly see that which has been born, and I also know that I am not that which is born, and that is why I am totally fearless. I am entirely without any reaction to a disease that would otherwise be traumatic. Knowing that I am not that which is considered to be born, yet there is a little attachment to it. In what way? Attachment is to that which I have been associated for a long time. That is that speck of attachment only because I have been attached to this body for 80 years. So I meet somebody from my hometown who I have known for a long time. He comes and goes away. I bid him goodbye. Now it happens. The fact that he is leaving or has left is not going to bother me. But when he leaves, there is that mere speck of attachment because something or somebody I have known for 80 years will be leaving. But that is all. There is not that firm attachment that usually occurs. This consciousness, which is really what is born, mistakenly attaches itself to this body and thinks it is the body and works through the 3 gunas. That is the association, and it is that which is born. But I have nothing to do with this. In the Gita, Lord Krishna tells Arjuna that you are not killing somebody, nor is anybody getting killed. The whole thing is an illusion. The sweetness is the quality or nature of sugar, but that sweetness is only there so long as the sugar is present. Once the sugar has been consumed or thrown away, there is no more sweetness. So this knowledge I am, this consciousness, this feeling or sense of being, is the quintessence of the body. And if that body essence is gone, this feeling, the sense of being, will also be gone. The sense of being cannot remain without the body, just as sweetness cannot remain without the material, which is sugar. What remains then? What remains is the original, which is unconditioned, without attributes and without identity, that in which this temporary state of the consciousness and the three states and the three gunas have come and gone. It is called Parabrahman, the Absolute. This is my basic teaching. Have you any questions on that? I have no fundamental quarrel with it. The only thing I remember from carefully reading the books is that there is this tangle of memories that survives with the ordinary, unenlightened person. Is that completely undone in Maharaj's state? If there is sugar or the juice of the sugar cane, then there can be sweetness. So if this physical, material essence, which is the body, is not there, how can there be any memories? Even the awareness that you are alive, that you exist, the sense of beingness itself is lost, just as the taste of sweetness is gone. The lady's question was that after the body and the consciousness leave, there is something which is this Parabrahman. Then, how does one know this, whatever remains? How does one know that there is something? Look at it this way. Now there are 20 people in this room. All 20 people leave. Then what remains is that, but someone who has left cannot understand what it is. So in that Parabrahman, which is unconditioned, without attributes, without identity, the identity comes only when there is the knowledge I am. So if that itself is not there, who is there to ask? This is to be understood not by someone with the body-mind identity, but it must be experienced, and in such a manner that the experiencer and the experience are one. Therefore you become the experience. Only that way can you know, and it is not the mind that knows it. The very mind has come subsequently, after true consciousness. If someone asks, what is this Parabrahman like? The answer is, it is like Bombay. Don't give me the geography of Bombay. Don't tell me about the atmosphere in Bombay, but tell me, what is Bombay? Is it possible to say? You cannot. So also there is nothing you can say, this is Bombay, or this is Parabrahman. If I ask you, give me a handful of Bombay, you cannot oblige. Similarly, there is no giving or taking of Parabrahman. You can only be that. In fact, the concept or the thought I am itself is not there. The question was, is it like sleep? No. Sleep, as I told you, is an attribute of that which has been born. So find out what is it that has been born. Before the birth, even the thought that I exist is not there. Go home, ponder on it, because if you ponder on something, that must unfold itself. You cannot use your brains or thought on it. The Absolute is not easy to get. All manifestation comes only from a speck of consciousness. Will you remember what I told you? I will make an effort. Remembering something, whatever it is itself an aspect of that consciousness which you are. If you don't have that consciousness, the question of remembering or even thinking does not arise. So the place to start is with this consciousness, and this consciousness can't be there without the body. This is the mystery that is to unfold. The consciousness is there so long as the 5 elements are present. Now, when what is called the great dissolution of the universe of all the 5 elements takes place, the consciousness also is finished. But the knower of the consciousness, the Absolute state, is unaffected. So I am always in that state, and that is why there is no fear of anything. Even when everything was burning in the whole and there was total destruction, I was merely watching, just being in a state of witnessing. I was untouched by anything. So being that, what could affect me? Secondly, whatever appears really has no substance. It has only a temporary existence. And so long as the appearance is there, pain is also present. And when things disappear, pain again is absent. So only when form is present and the consciousness is there, you feel pain or the misery. And when there is no form, there is no consciousness, and no feeling of any pain or anything. Are there times in Maharaj's awareness when the form that we see is not in his field of awareness, so that he does not feel the pain of what is happening here? So long as the consciousness is there, the pain is felt. But consciousness is the product of the food body, just as in the oil lamp when the oil is present there is a flame. Similarly, this body, like oil, and that flame is the knowledge, I am. Whatever you see prior to that, the knowledge I am must be there. And that itself contains the whole thing, your entire world of experience. So the greatest scene is that knowledge I am itself. That consciousness itself is the whole film in which everything is contained. Therefore, the consciousness is there. The pain is felt. But I deny that as my identity. How I got that real identity is through the Guru's words. Full faith in his words and meditating on the consciousness, that knowledge. Therefore, I came to know that the usual saying that one is born in the world is wrong. The fact is that my existence is forever, ever there. I am not one of the world, but the world is in my consciousness. It was supposed that the body has appeared, has formed in this world, but when the truth came out, it was found that in a certain atom the entire universe is contained. And what is that atom? It is the beingness, the knowledge I am, that contains the whole universe. Because of your existence, because you know that you are, you know also that the world is. So this consciousness, because of which you experience the world, is not unimportant. In fact, it is very important. So why not stabilize there? Meditate on that consciousness itself and find out how this I amness has appeared. What was its cause? And from what did this consciousness develop? Try to find out. Go right to the source.